Evening, everyone. Tuesday night, March something. Is it the 10th, maybe? I don't know. So, yeah, I went to the races on the weekend. Friday was a practice day. I practiced with my new kart after changing a few things on it. I never even actually sat in the go-kart until that day, which I should have and made sure it was set up a little bit, but I just figured just wing it, go for it, right? You know me, I'm busy with saws all the time, and I barely had time just to put this together and get her happening. But the number 10 Donnie Walker machine performed really well on the Friday. I was running slicks. It was a dry day. And I'll just show you a few things on my cart here that I changed. First of all, when I got this cart, it only had a few races on it, but I think it got ran in the rain. It had some growly axle bearings. So I changed the bearings in the axle. This is a 50 millimeter axle, and it's nice and smooth now. I got a brand new Briggs L206 on here. These are a 9 horsepower spec engine, and there's very little limitations you can do to improve it. You can work on your head valves to make sure you keep compression, your valve clearance, and keeping your carburetor clean, and your clutch is a really important thing. Keeping it clean and servicing it between races so it doesn't rust up and it doesn't get all, so it grips properly and whatnot, right? So those are the important things on these motors to do: is your clutch between races, cleaning your carburetor between races. You're best to drain the gas out of them so there's no buildup of anything in it, and keep a good fuel filter on in line. This is a Vemi kart. They're made in Italy. Most all the best karts in the world are made in Italy. There's a few other manufacturers around the world, but I would say probably 90% come out of Italy. Different brands: Borel, Tony, CRG. They're all good. The reason I went with this one is because there's a couple guys selling these around, and then there's parts. So if I'm at the track and I bend something, like the most things that bend are like your spindles if you hit someone, your tie rods, and your steering column, and your axle. So, you know, that way I know there's parts at the track. If I break something, I can change it, right? So when I went to the track on Friday, and I got the old signature number 10 on there. I've been number 10 since I was 10 years old. So yeah, 48th year of racing. I had a couple of problems with the seat. Was in a bad position, so I moved the seat forward and over on an angle a bit. It was kind of mounted kind of weird. So I got that in a better spot. And what else did I do? The first time I went out that day, I thought, geez, this thing's like vibrating and not handling very good. Well, in these tires, they have what they call bead locks, and they're made more for real fast, like shifter kart racing go-karts that do 100 miles an hour, not this 60, 70 mile an hour type kart. So your tires don't come off the bead of the rim, right? One of these didn't have an O-ring, so it was leaking, and I didn't notice it. And obviously that was the problem. So I fixed that, changed the seat positioning. And the brakes. The brakes were a bit glazed up from the last people that drove it, I guess. So I took the pads out of here and I scrubbed them on the pavement. My friend, good friend Ken Kennedy that was there, he says, oh yeah, that's what we do with sprint car pads, man. Just scrub them on the pavement and rough them up. And I also roughed up my disc here so I had a little better braking power. I'm going to see if I can order some softer pads for this car, because even after I did that, it was really hard. The brakes weren't that good. I really had to push really hard on them to make them work. But other than that, the thing handled very well. The motor ran great. They have around 9 horsepower, these motors. And I run Shell mid-grade in it. You don't need to run real high test gas in them because they're not that high compression, right? A lot of people think that you should always run high octane fuel in certain motors. Well, that's not true. You can go slower with that. So anyways, I had a good time with that. And I didn't race the Saturday and Sunday. It was a total monsoon. Saturday was so wet. I just decided, I got this nice new shiny go-kart and motor, and I don't want to be wet and cold all day. And at the racetrack, I help a lot of kids out and other adults with their carts and engines. So I was running around doing all that. And at the end of the races, I do technical inspections on the motors to make sure no one's cheating. And I also do safety checks all day during on the carts as they come in and off the track if they've crashed and bent something, so they don't go out again and something happens to it and a person gets hurt. Safety first, right? So yeah, that was the weekend of racing. I might see if I can link in a little video just before this one to show you the track that we race on, which is spectacular. It's just a multi-million-dollar setup. This track place we go to, the Vancouver Island Motorsport Circuit. It's just beautiful. We're so lucky to be able to go there because we don't have our own track. We have had our own track on the island here years ago at Cassidy Speedway, but we'd like to have one again. On these chassis, you have a lot of adjustments. This does caster and camber with these here. You take the bolt out, you can turn this, and you'll be able to move your kingpin back and forth for camber and in and out for caster. Hopefully I got that right. Don't want to be an idiot and not tell you that right. But just, yeah, it's a nice chassis. Very well built. Nice components on it. Anyways, let's get into the saw world. I'm going to work on 2100 cylinder and piston combination tonight. I do want to say thanks to Chris Nacarado, which I just did a lovely 357 for him, and tested his John Sured 86er that Scott from Alberta sent him. I ran it a bit here, and it ran really nice, and I sent him that, and he sent me this beautiful Husqvarna sign. I don't know if he made it or what, but it's aluminum with this lovely sticker, so I'm going to put this up in my shop. Thanks very much, Chris, for that. And we'll get down into the underground saw shop here now and get talking and working on some stuff. I just had some Chinese food for dinner. Me and the Foz. I gave him a little treat. Shelly's in Mexico with her mom, so I'm home alone. Did these two saws today. 2 461s, one full wrap one for Mitch Hewitt, which is an excellent Logger Sports competitor. And this one here for Jan Juan Lua. I think he's from the US. It's a half wrap. So I ported these both, and it'll have modified mufflers and max flow air filter on this one. I also yesterday had one of my logger friends come by, follower friends, Doug Munn. Thank you very much, Doug. I've did some work for him on a 390 cylinders and some mufflers, and he helped me set up the chisel grinder a little bit. I'm not bad with these chisel grinders, but I just thought I'd get his opinion and a few other people's opinion, because unfortunately my dad can't quite do that with me anymore, which is a shame. You seen the other day I ran the Mac hot saw, the 101, the American muscle saw. This is just my 592, which is just a stock saw with a tuned pipe from CPI Racing. It goes okay, but I'm thinking, I hope I have time to be able to try to adapt a different carburetor to this so I can get rid of the auto tune. My biggest issue is with this is to try to figure out an ignition system to override the auto tune. This Mac is running really good. Me and Chase got it going really well. I adapted a 24 millimeter IBEA carburetor to it. Nice smoothbore unit with a different manifold that he had for me, so I can adapt HL carburetors to the Mac manifold, right? This is a slightly modified 101. This motor was brand new. It used to have the 3/4 inch shaft, but my dad put a saw crankshaft into it, so now it's has the taper for the clutch, right? We'll get out in the next couple days and make some cuts with it. We also adapted this nice pipe to it, sort of like a Gary Hartman design type style. I did all the measurements and whatnot and fixed it up quite a bit. So see how it goes. I got an old 1010 here. I traded another 1010 for this one. This 1010 model actually has a belt drive that runs an alternator. I forget what they actually called these, but McCullough made these for charging batteries on like logging machines and cats and stuff like that. Let me turn the music off. Someone will complain about that or get copyright infringements, right? So yeah, that's what I traded a 1010 for this, because I'm going to use this with a belt drive to start my vintage go-kart. So that'll be kind of cool. But tonight I'm going to work on this 2100 of Steve's. I got several 2100s pistons here I've found from my dad's collections. Several different cylinder combinations. A couple different ones here. These are some Mac ones that I just pulled out when Chance was here. And we were just going over them to identify them. I also gave Chance a couple cylinders to take home for his help. So, yeah, I got lots on the go. I'm doing a little 550 right now for another friend of mine, Mark II. And more other ones to do for the Walker Saw Shop here. A nice lineup here of different varieties. 372, 365, another 461, 592, 260, another 550 Mark II there. Yeah, lots on the go. My friend gave me an 066 today for helping him out with this old McCullough 125, but unfortunately the piston scored on. He says it did run, but obviously it didn't run very good. But a friend of mine came by today, and I helped him out with his an 090. Esko is an old follower. He's originally from Finland. He moved here in 1971 or 72 and became a faller, and was a great faller. He started off with 2100s and all sorts of other different saws. He actually had a really bad falling accident, I believe in the Charlottes, and he was pinned under a log and lost his leg. But the guy can get around better than I can right now with a fake leg. Me, I just busted my heel, right? But yeah, I'm going to get a 066 cylinder and piston off him. I'm going to go over to his place and have a visit with him, and maybe we can do a little, maybe I'm going to ask him if I can do a little talk about his falling career and what he ran for saws in the days, right? Like I've told you guys before, I was going to start doing that. So we'll see how that goes. Like I say, I got a lot on the go. I'm going to try to dial a piston in and cylinder for this 2100 tonight. I want to use this cylinder with a compression release just because it's just a lot easier to start, right? 2100s were a real bear to start. Here, for example, is the stock 2100 that a dealership in BC here sent me for a fella in the US that has bought it off them. It's very clean. It looks like they've done a great job with it. But let me just show you, like, look at the starter handles on 2100s. They're so small, right? And these things had so much compression, no compression release. They were a bear to start, man. Like, I know mechanics that have pulled their shoulders out trying to start them. My dad actually used to detune them, put more cylinder gaskets under the cylinder, which seems wrong. We're opposite these days, getting more squish and better compression to make them more power and run right. But these old 2100s with the two thick rings, these are the pistons that they had at the beginning with two thick rings. Man, they had compression, man. You had to be a real man to start them. Then they came out with the rings, with the thin rings, which, darn it, man, I wish I could find a bunch of thin rings because I have a lot of pistons but no rings. A couple of my pistons have rings, but obviously this one doesn't, but I have a couple that do. Yeah, hard to find some of this old stuff now, but I've got enough stuff here that I've torn apart, a bunch of old saws, and collected all the stuff from my dad that he had it in his shop when I brought everything here. So I should be able to come up with a good combination for 2100 Steve here and get them rocking, because we want to win the 100cc Logger Sports event, Canadian Championships this year. We have a good pipe for it. I'm going to adapt. This one had a like an 084 type carburetor adapted to it. So I got this, it's got the manifold that my dad's made here and all set up for it. So now I just got to degree this unit. I got new bearings in this bottom end right now, new seals, and now I got to figure out a piston combination and figure out what my dad did with port timing with that cylinder to see what I can find that'll work out properly. The right squish, the right exhaust port timing, the right transfer timing, the right intake timing. There's a lot to these race saws, like people think, oh yeah, you just do a bunch of porting at a bigger carburetor, but no, everything takes time, man. Making manifolds and messing around with it, it's a lot of work, and especially when you're dealing with a saw that's, 45 years old or whatever they are, what year were these things? Doesn't matter. They were in the early 70s, right? So that's a long time ago. So yeah, I'm gonna get to work here. Just finished having some dinner there with the Foz and me, and do a little night work here. So have a great day. Keep your saw into it, stick your ash, rubbing the road. And I didn't really want to talk about anything like what's going on between Canada and US right now. I'm really disappointed with all that. I don't like talking about politics, but I love you all Americans. I have a lot of friends down there and some family. Some of my family on my mom's side originally came up from the US, like I told you before. My mom did a family tree, and we were kind of related to the Lincoln family, President Lincoln family, and we came to the US from Europe just like everyone else has. The Americans and Canadians, they're not real North Americans. The natives are from here. So you know what? If anyone's going to get deported from North America, then it'd be everyone. Think about it. So let's all get along, man. Like, what's going on? I don't want this going on. We don't need it. It's driving the economy down. Businesses, like everything you can think of. Okay, I didn't want to talk about that, but I did a little bit. So anyways, have a good night. We saw with sticking ass rubbing the road, and I'm gonna just do a little bit of work here. Then I'm gonna go up and watch the Canucks game. They're playing Montreal tonight, and see how that goes. I haven't watched a hockey game completely for a long time. Shelly is not really into hockey. She dealt with that years ago with her family, with her parents watching it all the time. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do tonight, or after I do a little bit of work here. So I'm going to get the degree wheel on this 2100 and figure out some piston lengths and some piston heights and go from there. So you all have a good night. Rock on, North America. Let's all get along. Love you all. Bye now.